Day. We can finally say sunny California, which it's been a long time coming. Had a lot of rain out here. So welcome, everyone. I think I'm going to put it where I can see everybody in my gallery. All right. And then we'll just keep letting people in here. All right, well, we're letting people in for the meeting. Good morning, Don. Good to see you. Frank Crandall, good to see you. Jackie, good to see you, representing Colorado. Love it. Lisa Fowler. Lisa, where are you located? Are you down in Arizona?
I am, Arizona, the West Valley.
All right, and Coach Jeff, I love it. Gosh, there's a face I miss. Good to see you, buddy.
What's happening, brother?
Oh, man, good to have you here. We got a special day today. We'll give it a couple minutes to let people in. Yeah, we got a special treat for everybody. Megan, good to see you. Thanks for all that you do and you bring to the team. Awesome. And Patrick, always representing on Wednesdays and showing up. Good to see you.
So Matt, can you just tell, I have several people in my organization here. You do this every Wednesday and Friday, correct?
Yeah, so every Wednesday is our organization's team meeting. We keep it to 30 minutes. It's 9 a.m. Pacific to 9:30. We typically bring in speakers, trainers, coaches that are going to bring value and pour into our realtors. We believe in one team, one dream. So we open it to anybody and everybody, whether you're in our organization or not, because we want to lead with value. So this is our team meeting, atomicteammeeting.live. You can also join our Facebook group if you search groups. What is it? Atomic Habits powered by EXP. So that's great. And then also on Fridays, Mr. Tom Daves, the legend, he does Freedom Friday. Every Friday brings in speakers, trainers, coaches on whether it be prospecting, whether it be social media, all sorts of things to help realtors grow in their production business. So that's every Wednesday and Friday. Friday's 9 a.m. Pacific and goes till usually 9:30, sometimes goes longer depending on the guest or what have you. So, all right.
Don't forget about Pro Insight Tuesday too.
Oh, that's right. So Tuesday we have Pro Insight Tuesdays. Mr. Don Yoakum, certified success coach, as I am as well, and Randy Bird and Jackie and others on the call here. But Don in particular carves out an hour of his time every Tuesday for our organization and pours into agents on teaching them how to grow their production and all things real estate, which is great. So Mr. Coach Randy Bird, good to see you. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started because I have a very special guest here. If you could help me out by continuing to let people in, that would be awesome. But we have Mr. Leo Pareja. Am I saying that correctly?
That was a good effort.
Close enough for a non-Latino there. But anyway, Leo, we are absolutely blessed to have him at EXP. He is the Chief Strategy Officer with EXP. I think you came over last year sometime, correct? Towards the early to middle of last year. And, he's got an incredible resume, bio that I could read you. I'll give you a couple bullet points just so you can see the magnitude of who he is and what he's done. But most importantly, I'll share with you is it's about what the people that he manages and oversees and inspires on a daily basis at EXP, what they say about him. And one of my good friends, Don Conciatori, who really is pivotal in building out relocation and REO and affinity and so on. When he got hired and she met with him, and the first month or two or whatever, she just was giddy. She goes, oh my gosh, what a leader. I'm excited to be working with him. We're going to do some big things with our departments and EXP. So, but Leo was the #1 KW agent in the world at one point, like Tom Daves. He was the founding president of the Metro chapter in Washington, D.C. for NAREP. He built a company that encompassed 65 different MLSs and well over 1 million agents. Ended up selling that company. Correct, Leo? You sold that company, correct? because you were about ready to pull your hair out dealing with MLSs, if I remember our Zoom with my friend Wes. But anyway, and then lastly, he started the Pareja Family Foundation with his wife, and they do a 6-month tech boot camp for disadvantaged women and minorities. They give scholarships and so on. So pretty amazing, man. We're blessed to have you. I've taken too much time already. Please go ahead and take the stage and share with us some of the vision of Revenos and how our agents could take advantage of it, and anything else you want to share with us today.
I appreciate the warm introduction. And you're right. I've been with the company not even a year yet. I joined basically June 1st of last year. And one of the things I like to make sure that people know is that I am one of us, right? I think you have a lot of folks in leadership at some real estate companies who were never actually in the trenches. You know, I like to give Tom crap and say I allowed him to be number one by leaving and let him have a chance at the title. But, you know, Tom, Chris, Russell Rhodes and I were all kind of neck to neck for many years there at KW. And when I got here, I said getting here was not new. It was almost like I made it home, right? So my history is intertwined with a lot of folks, including Don Yoakum, where when I first started out in the Virginia region. But I think, you know, when Glenn got a hold of me and asked me to join the leadership team, he said, hey, I want guys like you who've actually sold homes and get the nuances and the daily, you know, plight of the agent. As you said, I sold close to 4,000 homes in my time at KW, and I did that before we had mega teams and expansion and all the stuff that we have now. So,
Wow.
when I sold 400 to 600 homes, it was 10 years ago, and those were big numbers back then, which now don't seem so big. I then went on to start a private debt fund. I scaled a national platform, sold that to private equity, as well as started a company. You didn't mention the name, but it's Remine, and pretty good chance that several folks here use it on a daily basis because it's part of the ecosystem in a lot of MLS. Someone says I sound like I'm a little bit underwater, so let me.
Yeah, you're a little bit. That's
All
true.
right, is that
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, that's a lot better, actually.
Hold on one second. Now I can't hear. All right.
Okay.
Thumbs
Yeah.
up. Can you hear me more clear? Less
Yep,
clear?
it's a lot
Okay.
better. A lot
All
better.
right. So as I was saying, I've been in this space my entire life. My previous occupation was basically high school because I started selling at 19 years old. So I've been in the brokerage side, the finance side, and the tech side. That's actually the real reason Glenn wanted me here. He actually reached out to me to become the CTO. And I said, I can play one on TV, but I don't actually enjoy it. I like the transaction. I like the deal. I like the agent world. And so before joining, he did make me promise that I would still lean in. So I do a lot with the tech team and interact with them on processes and workflow. But I would say my main focus is any and all affiliated and ancillary services. So we own a variety of businesses, right? EXP Holdings has, you know, Verbella and Showcase and the Success Lending, Success Enterprises in general. So a lot of those report directly to me, but what I focus on is making sure that agents have all the tools necessary to them. So one of the first things I did when I got here was run around the business and find all the different pieces that were disparate. So an example of that was Don Cacciatore, who sat in operations, then there was making it rain in marketing, and there was a whole bunch of different pieces. Express Offer sat on its own island. So the first thing I wanted to do was create a brand, because what you can't describe easily and elegantly is hard to communicate. So Revenos was the first thing that came out of that, and I took all the different pieces and put it in one place. And the best way to articulate it, which is easiest to say, it's our answer to Cardis. Realogy has Cardis, we have Revenos. So Revenos is a whole bunch of different corporate opportunities of ready, willing, and able buyers and sellers. So that is REO and Relo. It's also affinity. So what comes of that? So like a company like Home Story that had an agent network and it was disparate, came to us because of that centralized opportunity. One of the biggest advantages that EXP has that I had not seen at any other company in the industry is that we're the single largest monolithic brokerage in the United States. And I'll state that again, because I think if you guys all add that to your value proposition when you're sitting in front of a seller, it's meaningful. we're the single largest monolithic brokerage in the United States. So when I'm talking to a large institutional player and they say, well, why should I do business with you versus Keller Williams, Remax, or Realogy, which technically have more agents than us, I respond with, not one of those companies has more than 1,000 agents, right? You're dealing with 600, 700 franchisees who are all independent, and having been in one, hate their local competitors, right? Just because they're both flying the same flag doesn't make them friends. And most markets, it's more like vicious competitors. So with us, you are dealing with one broker, one company, one relationship. And so since I've gotten here, we've managed to add very substantial institutional folks who are now coming to us to dispose of listings, to bring buyers to their network. I can't disclose the name, but there is a very, very large affinity partner who is captive to one company, and it's going to come to us, and it's going to be tens of thousands of closings per year. And so that value proposition was already here. So, just like you guys create a value proposition at a listing appointment or a buyer consultation, I'm doing the same at the corporate level. So, I'm having conversations with hedge funds that bought SFR properties all over the country in the last 10 years who are saying, hey, I need to sell 2,000 properties in 8 states in 30 days. And I truly believe we're probably one of the best solutions for that. So that's the obsession with Revenos. I want to have best-in-class properties and opportunities for you guys. That is very different than a lead. So a lead is a cold reach out, typically through internet, that needs to be incubated and converted. So that is not Revenos. That Revenos are those referrals. So the other thing that we acquired right when I got here was Zoocasa, and I've been working very quietly to kind of build that out. And what Zoocasa was the 5th largest trafficked internet portal in Canada. So again, from a comparable size to the US, that's not the same. But what they did have is that discipline of incubation and conversion. So they have a full ISA team. They incubated that lead and turned it into a referral, right? Which is very different than saying, hey, I have leads to give you guys versus a qualified referral who's ready, willing, able, and ready to meet. And so what I've been doing is, and the same parallel path is, there are lead aggregators who don't have an appointment but have a lead. And instead of sending you guys one more internet contact, I've been putting that through an incubation process and making sure that that's available. So, for example, there is a large aggregation website that attracts motivated sellers, and those seller leads have been going through our process, becoming an appointment. And so, kind of the master plan here is we have all these certifications inside of Revenos, like being certified to handle express offers or reload and REO. When I go to these larger institutions, inside of this basket of education and certifications, I have a value proposition. So someone who generates motivated seller leads, I can say, I can send this to this network of educated and certified express offers agents who know how to deal with a cash offer and deliver it and value a property and present that. Or in the case of a hedge fund who's like, I need to dispose of this asset, that's very much the same education and discipline that comes with selling REO properties. So the master vision, as Matthew asked for it, is I want to have the most robust and deep referrals to give out at the corporate level that compete with Realogy and Cardis. It's a tall ask because they've been the industry standard for such a long time, but I think last year we closed 4,600 transactions, with most of you probably were unaware of, and I want to double that this year and double it again the next year. So lots of energy and focus on it. But what makes obviously that adds to your business, that adds to retention, recruitment. It makes us way more appealing to some agents that may have been accustomed to that opportunity or been able to have access at their previous company. So Revenos is putting on monthly classes. We're trying to make it as available as possible so we can constantly have more folks in that. I think take all of our different certifications, we have about 10 to 11,000 agents who've taken advantage of that and become eligible to that. And we're continuing to add to that. And then the second thing that I spend quite a bit of time on is EXP solutions. So when I got here, there was probably 30 or so partnerships, and I do this because when you have 30 partnerships, you have 0 partnerships. right? I can't think of 30 things off the top of my head in any category of my life, right? So I've actually been focused on dwindling that down and removing partners that weren't really getting deep penetration or attach into our ecosystem. And I really want to bring you guys the partners that make your life easier, create less friction, or give you, you know, a legitimate value proposition, whether it's monetarily or in time and money. So I'm very focused on making sure that I have the best in class tools available to you guys. The solutions website has been changing, and it'll continue changing. So obviously, you know, monetary discounts that are tangible and real, things that make your life easier, one click of a button. So even something as simple as, you know, commission advance was always there, but I was able to add a button into the SkySlope workflow when you upload a contract that said, would you like to advance your commission? And it was, you know, easy to find, easy to use. Build a sign, making sure that we have as many integrations as possible, that all the data is fed in properly. Utility Connect, there is a monetary incentive, but it's also for you guys as agents, but it's also a good experience for you consumer. If you're signed up for Utility Connect and we've given them integration into SkySlope 2 weeks prior to settlement, your customer can receive an email with your approval saying, hey, looks like you're closing in a couple of weeks. Let me take care of all this for you, right? From from the agent consumer perspective, it's a high level concierge feeling. It adds value to the transaction. And oh, by the way, I get you guys monetary payment for doing that. So I'm really focused on making sure that the experience as an agent is better, the experience as a consumer is better, and we're giving you the tools to compete in the competitive environment. So, you know, I'm one of the things that I've been obsessed with is delivering you a best in class listing toolkit, right? When you're competing with iBuyers and SFR buyers, I want to have the most robust group of institutional buyers in your back pocket if you want to deliver a cash offer. Most of you are in California, that's probably not nearly as relevant as other parts of the states. But, you know, services like Curbio, where you can leverage somebody else's capital, repair a property prior to bringing it to market with no out-of-pocket expense, and the payments being held until settlement on the settlement statement, make a really big difference. So I'll stop talking, open it up for some questions.
Let me
I'm
ask
always,
you.
very available for agents. So some of you already ping me regularly on Workplace. I think most of you would be surprised how available I am, but I'm always looking for new opportunities that make sense. Again, I'm very quick to review something and give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, and I'll also tell you why, right? So whenever agents bring an opportunity, my obsession is what touches the most transactions, right? What can we potentially attach to every transaction versus, like, somebody pitched me a 1031 exchange service. It's like, I get it, makes sense, but that's such a small percentage of transactions versus something that touches every transaction and makes a meaningful difference in everybody's daily workflow.
Let me ask you this, Leo, to get things going on the Q&A here, and go ahead and type them in the chat.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
put in, okay, there we go. You came back.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So one of the questions that I have, and this is probably a basic question, but I think it's important for those that are on here, is one of the things that you offer us as an item of value is if we invest in going to one of the EXP events, shareholders EXPCon, is the certifications for REO, Affinity, Relo, etc., typically, which are a paid for certification.
So man, I'm gonna stop you right there. That's one of the things I changed. We are not
okay.
charging for any of them. I made them perpetually free to add value to your guys' day.
Nice.
And then obviously there's a referral fee that, you know, it's a success-based payment, so there's no upfront investment. So the advantage of doing it at one of the live events is we fast track it, kind of get a bunch of them done all at the same time. But that was one of the things that I changed very, very quickly when I got here.
Good stuff. Okay. So we do have it at shareholders. It is free. It's free across the board now, but the advantage of going to shareholders is it is fast track. So that is nice. Because how long does it typically take if you were to do it outside the major event to go through the certification?
It depends is the answer for each one. And so what, you're very close to Dawn. Feel free to get that kind of the best information that
Yeah.
you can
Sure.
circulate to your team, in the best fashion possible. But again, we have a website. I can put that in here, as well as, you know, active conversations in workplace and everything else.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions out there for Leo that come to mind?
Yeah, I have a question. So Leo, it sounds like you're working really hard on the different referral sources for us. How do agents kind of raise their hand in that regard to position themselves to be the recipient of those things?
Yeah, no, great question, Don. So the criteria to be accepted is dependent on the referral source. So each one tends to have their own different criteria, like must have been licensed 24 months, closed X amount of transactions in that previous time. So there are some things that are non-negotiable, if you will. And then there's some who've looked at our basket of certifications and said, okay, with what we are offering, your folks who've done the Relo certification or the affinity certification or the REO certification are best qualified. So for that type of opportunity, that certification may be the first barrier of entry, and then followed by the second layer of certification. And then some then require an additional class to be eligible for their stuff. So like a specific relocation company may say, if you want to be eligible for us, you need to do this extra 1 hour just to understand the nuances of our customers and clients. Like, for example, Home Story, which is a huge partner of ours.
Yeah.
Once you show up, they do an in-person event. And then once you're accepted into their network, they actually do the assignments directly and build a strong relationship. But it's critical for an agent to understand that the vast majority of their business are banks. So Home Story built a program that is an answer to Rocket Homes at Rocket Mortgage, right? So they'll go to Chase and Bank of America and these big financial institutions and work as that partner. But we've had agents kicked out of their network and sent an email to me saying this is on the do not use list because they didn't pay attention to their certification and started pushing their, you know, preferred lender. And that is a big no-no for that specific customer who is getting their referrals from a lender, right? So again, for somebody else, that might not be a big deal, right? In relocation, the relocation company may say, yeah, sure, connect them to a local expert. But for that specific type of opportunity, it's very, very precise that you don't make those missteps. And to your question, Don, making sure you go through those certification processes. We don't come up with these because we want to make you do stuff, right? I understand the day in the life of a realtor. And so we try to make this as concise as possible. So you don't need to be wasting any time, and we're giving you the tools to set you up for success. So you don't have a misstep, because and very transparently, one of the reasons these big corporate relationships, like a corporate relationship, is because if the agent makes a misstep, they'll ask us to take the opportunity away from them and reassign it to somebody else, because this is such a big corporate, you know, form of their doing business, that if we drop the ball on something, like when a Chase loan officer finds out that you try to stick the New American Home lender in there, it doesn't go well. And I get that call from somebody in their C-suite.
Well, we have
So
another
where do we
question.
go to find this list of opportunities and what we need to
So Don, I put the
qualify?
link, I put the link in the chat. So Revenos website has a whole bunch of different sublinks for other stuff. And then Matthew can follow up with an email to everybody on the group if we have specific questions. But really, it's getting engaged with the Revenos team, Don and Cindy and Calvin, and a lot of folks that some of you may have met. I mean, they hold monthly certifications in world, and there's a very active workplace group. So I would join all those discussions and make sure you're in the thread, because again, depending on where you are, we may have a lot of opportunities or zero opportunities. And again, that's why I very purposely have gone to several different types of opportunities to make sure that they're all there.
Yep. Okay,
sounds
you
good.
had sent me the link
Yeah, I just
directly,
realized
so
that. So-
I copied and pasted here. I'm gonna put it to everybody. So there we go. And then there was a question here by Coach Randy. What's the greatest partner need or agent opportunity within Revenos right now? Is it Relo? Is it Affinity? Is it REO or something else?
It's affinity. So again, from where I sit in the world, and I can see a lot of stuff, REO is never coming back the way it once did and once upon a time.
Okay.
Just because banks got a lot smarter. And so a lot of that, I think you know, the haphazard underwriting or the lack thereof won't happen again, right? The government changed the laws dramatically. But if anything falls into default, what I've been seeing is they're selling off the paper to institutional buyers, right? So, that's why my focus on institutional relationships is so strong. But
Mhm.
again, that certification really teaches you how to be an asset manager, which is what happens when you do REO, right? It's in traditional real estate, you build a relationship with a buyer or seller, which is a human being, versus in asset management, it's a corporate relationship that you're doing task-based activities, making sure that you're delivering photos on a weekly basis. So you become the eyes and ears of that seller. And that's really the difference in skill sets that some of you may or may not have been exposed to, that, it's just little things like, don't call it a house, call it an asset. It's just a different vocabulary. And a lot of times, in life experience, when you learn a new skill set, it's just adding a couple words that take you from a novice to an expert, and just even calling things the right things.
So just so I'm clear, and kind of everybody else is as well, I get certified. Let's say I get certified in all three of the big three, REO, Relo, and Affinity. And from what I understand, Infinity, I don't know if this has already been completed or not, but there are kind of like plug and play marketing materials. So if I wanted to go to the local school district or the fire
Great question,
department,
Matthew. So let me define affinity, what it is for most people.
Yeah.
Affinity is typically a value proposition delivered by a third party. So Home Story is the best example of a big one. They built these relationships with these big institutions, and they will have very meaningful referral fees, like 35 to 40%. But what happens is that big chunk of that is being used as an incentive by that corporate partner to get the lead to you, right? So Home Story is charging 35, 40%, whichever, depending on the customer, it varies, but they're taking probably more than half of that and using that as a closing credit. If you guys saw that headline from what Rocket Homes just did, up to $10,000, that's how they're doing it. And so that is the carrot they're using to give you the referral. And so to your question and point, Dawn, who is a superstar, and I'm super excited to get to work with her, we're in the process of getting a technology bundle, which will give you all the ability to go to a local employer. It could be a school district, a superintendent, firefighters, an association, and you can be the deliverer of that value proposition. And the way we're going to set that up is it's going to be a 35% referral fee to send that person moving across the country to another EXP agent. And we're going to use 25% of the 35% as an incentive, as a closing credit. And that remaining 10%, we're going to split 5% with the agent who brought the relationship and 5% to Revenos to manage the process. But again, I'm very excited because that could be a huge opportunity to grow Revenos from a unit count, an opportunity to give you guys a new stream of income.
That's awesome. Well, so last thing, and then we do want to wrap up. You can reach out with additional questions that come to mind, and or you can reach out to Leo directly. As he said, he's very available, which is very true. But if I don't know if everybody caught that. So the 5%, if I get in a relationship with the large school district and I'm the one that brought that DXP, they agree, and all the deals of those employees, they don't have to move out of state. They can move in town, right?
If they stay in-house, you don't know, we'll just charge you the 5% for the technology, and then you contribute and keep everything else. So that's the referral. So you don't owe us, yourself a referral. It would just be because the 5% was for the technology and the corporate support. And where the agents who've already leveraged it, I've been on calls with agents who are trying to land a big person, and they wanted the corporate backing. So I'm happy to jump on a call and help you close a big customer just so they can hear that you are one of 87,000 agents of a national network.
Now, one step, Leo, I was getting to is if I didn't want to be the realtor, let's say I'm phasing out of production, but I put this school district in place, I would still get the 5% benefit,
Absolutely.
even if other agents are doing the deals within my town, because I'm not doing production anymore. So it's another income stream opportunity for those that maybe don't want to do the transactions themselves. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that. There's huge opportunity within EXP, so entrepreneurial to have additional income streams. We are at 9:31. Leo, I really appreciate your time. I know you're super busy and your phone's pinging. I do want to promote, we do have Dial for Dollars and Call for Dollars and so on still at play. We do have Don Yoakams on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific. We do have and that's Pro Insight. And we do have Freedom Friday with Tom Daves at 9 a.m.
Sorry, I'm waiting for
PST.
another call. I gotta go. Bye.
Thank you, Leo. Take care. Bye-bye. So make it an amazing rest of your day, guys. Hopefully you got some information. Hopefully got some wheels turning there, because there's major opportunity and you're hearing about it kind of early on. They don't even have the full technology suite completed yet on going out and approaching some of these larger employers and so on, but huge opportunity. So with that, have an amazing, oh, go ahead, Tom.
Hey, I just want to say thank you, Matt. That was awesome. Have a good day.
You bet. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Hey, Matt. Oh.